Hey guys, I wanted to talk about rearranging formulas today. Our next unit, gas laws, will have a lot of different formulas. There's two kind of overall formats, and we just need to make sure we're all on the same page regarding some basic algebra stuff. So that's what this lesson and assignment is about. The way I always present this is trying to treat the formula like an onion. And so whatever you're looking for, whatever you're trying to find, the variable you're trying to work through, that is going to be the center of the onion. And then you layer around that depending on what's done to that variable you're working at, and you undo things. You do opposing operations to get that variable by itself. Whenever you keep peeling, eventually what happens is you get that variable alone. Everything else is taken away by doing those opposite operations. And all we're going to have to do in here is the multiply, divide, or add, subtract. We're not going to be doing any exponents or anything like that. So we'll get to kind of what that means as far as the gas laws goes later this week or after spring break. But we need to all be on the same page as far as what to do when rearranging an equation. So here we need to solve for n. So we're going to draw a layer around n. That's going to be the center of our onion. And then everything that is done to n or with n, it adds another layer. And in this one, it's just the plus 5. So in order to undo plus 5, we subtract 5. And whatever we do to one side, we also have to do to the other. So 5 minus 5 cancels out, that's 0. And then 7 minus 5 ends up being 2. So I know this is kind of basic, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. This is how we're going to approach doing this. So on this one, again, our variable we're looking for is h. So we make that the center of the atom, and then, or the center of the onion. And then everything that is done to h adds another layer. So it's multiplied by 2, so that becomes another layer. And then we add 3 to that. That becomes another layer. And so once everything on this side of the equal sign is layered, we start working outside in. And so to undo the outside layer plus 3, we subtract 3. And again, whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So 3 minus 3 cancels out. 11 minus 3 is 8. And so now we're taking off that next layer, the 2, away from the h. And to do that, we divide by 2. And so the 2 divided by 2 cancels out. That's a 1. And then 8 divided by 2 is 4. And so what you will be doing more often, you won't have the numbers and then the variable. Sometimes if you choose to go ahead and put in numbers into the formula and then rearrange, maybe you will. That just kind of depends on how you want to do it. But what you will be doing or need to be able to do is rearrange when you have a bunch of different variables. We're going to be using P for pressure and V for volume, T for temperature. N will be a number of moles, and then we'll have a constant R. Those are going to be the ones that we are using in lots of different ways. And so you've got to be able to arrange or rearrange a formula with those different variables in it. And so here it asks us to solve for A. So A becomes our center. A times T is the next thing done to A, and then we add U. And so that takes care of everything on this side of the equation. We're trying to work to get A by itself, so we undo the outer layer, subtract U on both sides. We get V minus U equals AT, and then we got to undo times T. So we take divide by T on both sides. That gets us A equals V minus U over T. And so you're kind of doing some reverse PEMDAS stuff. But again, just each layer at a time, trying to work your way down to the variable that is needed. This is going to be one of 2 different formats for our gas laws that we're about to cover. So this one's pretty straightforward. We're going to solve for each individual letter. We're going to solve for A, then B, then C, then D. And so there'll be 2 different gas laws that have this formula format, and so you'll need to be able to solve for each individual variable within that formula. And so you're going to have this. I'm going to give this to you. This will be something we work out and you have, so don't lose it. First off, we're going to solve for a, and a is multiplied by b. And so that's everything on that side of the equation. So the first thing we do is divide by b on both sides. B cancels. We end up with a equals c times d. Whenever you have two variables that are multiplied, if they're letters, you put them in alphabetical order. If it's a number and a letter, the number always comes first. That's your coefficient. And so here, c times d, it was already written that way. It's not a big deal. But in a little bit, we're going to rearrange some things, and they will be out of order when we multiply. And so we've got to, when we rewrite it, we always put it alphabetically. So that's just a general convention of algebra. Here we have the same formula, but we're solving for b. And so we circle b and then a times b. So to get b by itself, we divide by a on both sides. And we end up with CD divided by A. So that will get us B. Next, we solve for C. Same thing. We're going to divide D on both sides. So C equals A times B over D. And again, it's already in alphabetical order, so nothing really to do there. Just make note of it. Whenever you do this assignment, you will need to make sure they're alphabetical because you're going to drag and drop some. So if A and B are multiplied, A needs to come before B or it's going to count it wrong. And then we solve for D. Same thing we've been doing. Divide both sides by C. So AB over C. And so that's one format. A times B equals C times D. You'll have two different formulas, gas laws that we'll cover that are in that format, so you need to be able to rearrange it. This other one is where students get kind of tricked, and what tricks them is solving for the denominators. So I can't just solve for B real easy. You got to do a few things. And so we'll still solve for all four of these. This first one wants us to solve for A. So we're going to circle A and then A divided by B. And so to get rid of B, we've got to multiply it because it's divided. So you undo division by multiplying. And so you're going to have B multiplied on both sides. And so here is where if I did C times B, that's not in alphabetical order. So it would be wrong technically. And so these B's canceled out. I'm left with A equals B times C. So remember when you put these things in, that B has to be before C alphabetically, divided by D in this case. And so this one, solving for B, solving for a denominator is where kids kind of get a little lost because you got to do a few different things to solve for B. Somebody earlier brought up the butterfly method. This is essentially the butterfly method. So you're going to multiply and then divide. So if that works in your head, you know that, please do that. This is just sticking with my metaphor of the onion. That's how we're going to do it. So B is on bottom. I can't solve for a denominator, so I've got to get it on top to a numerator. And so I'm going to multiply both sides by B. So this is similar to what we just did when we solved for A. But it's B times C over D, but we're still trying to find B. So we redo our onion layers. And so now we take care of this outer layer first. It's divided by D, so we multiply by D in order to get rid of D in the denominator. We're left with BC, and so B is what we're looking for. We divide both sides by C. And so this gets us what B is solved for, A times D over C. And so you're kind of rearranging all of this. If you prefer the butterfly method, by all means do that. I'm just trying to stick with a metaphor here. And then C, very similar to the way we did A, we're going to multiply both sides by D. And then we get A times D over B to solve for C. And then D, similar to the way we did B, we're going to multiply both sides by that denominator first. Rewrite it A before D. And then we've got to get D by itself. So we take B, multiply it on both sides. Then we divide by A on both sides. So that gets us solved for D. And so you're going to do a few different questions. It's all basic rearranging of equations. Some algebra stuff you've been doing for quite a few years. Late elementary, early algebra things along with Algebra 1 that you guys took, so some of y'all last year. So it's just some basic stuff. Don't overthink it. There's 10 questions that needs to get done today. Thank you.